Hello and welcome to this World Skills UK Skill With Me Masterclass on Mindset and Performance. My name is Greg Houghton. I'm team leader with the Performance and Wellbeing team, World Skills UK. I work alongside the training managers and helping prepare young people to take part in World Skills competitions known as the Skills Olympics. Alongside this, I'm also curriculum area manager for sport at the Cornwall College Group at Duchy College, Stoke Climsland. As part of their training with World Skills UK, our competitors learn how to use a variety of different mindset techniques to help them get the most out of themselves at competition. We're going to look at one of those today, and we're going to focus on self-talk. Self-talk is that thing that we all do. We might not be aware that we're doing it, but it's going on. It's that little voice inside your head that's narrating everything that's going on around you, how you're performing in a particular task you're doing, what's going on in the environment around you, how you feel about something that you're going into for the first time. And that can have a massive impact on performance. So if we think about it, every action that we do, we make an assessment of how well that action went. And then once we've made that assessment, we start to get some thoughts and some feelings around how it went and how we judge it went. And off the back of that, those are in this cycle will then have an impact on our follow-up actions that we do. So think about a basketball player taking a free throw, for example. Michael Jordan, perfect example. They might make one shot and miss that first shot. And if they were to take that second shot straight away, chances are they'd probably miss again. But quite often you see them stop, have a little conversation with themselves, and then make that the next shot, and they sink it, and it's great, and they've got the point, and they walk away from it. Part of that is self-talk. It's talking about that action that took place, thinking about how it's made you feel, changing the outlook of that, and moving on and completing another task. And we're going to look a little bit more detail about self-talk, and then some of the follow-up videos from this will start to really apply it to some different strategies and how we can really improve it. So what is self-talk beyond that little voice that we hear when we're doing things? Well, what it's widely believed to be is a joining of your subconscious and your conscious thoughts. And that's why it can be really impactful on whatever it is you're trying to achieve. Because those subconscious thoughts about how you think you can do in a particular task start to bubble through. And that's where this voice comes from telling you can't, or even better, that you can. When we look at it from a performance perspective, we really try to break down self-talk into two categories: positive self-talk and negative self-talk. Now, positive self-talk is not all about telling yourself you're the best and you're amazing. It's more about how you frame your interactions and how you frame the events that are going on around you. So if you look at the examples on the slide, we're thinking about the statement you make. You might not have succeeded in a task, but a positive self-talk is, okay, well, actually, I can learn from this. So next time I complete this task, I can be better at it. Or it might be just as you're coming up to perform a task. Well, I know I can perform this task. I completed the same shot last week in training. So we're giving ourselves this positive framework. We're not just telling ourselves we're great, but we're thinking about those feelings that we're having and we're giving them a context. Now, unfortunately, as human beings, we're hardwired to have a negative outlook on certain things and to remember and recall negative experiences far easier than positive ones. So therefore, inevitably, when we come to a challenging situation, we tend to experience something called negative self-talk. Negative self-talk can take a lot of different variations of forms. It might be telling yourself you're not good enough. And we do that to try and protect ourselves from exposing ourselves to difficult situations. Have a think about how many times you might have avoided doing something because you didn't want to look bad when you did it. That's negative self-talk creeping in. In addition to that, it might be telling yourself, I must beat somebody, and you assign a weighting to performing a task in a particular way. And that's what's known as catastrophic thinking, of what is the worst thing that could happen if I don't actually succeed. And that's something we find an awful lot with our competitors. They're young people, they're exposed to pressure situations, and they're telling themselves, if I fail right now, actually that's going to have a significant impact on me. And what we have to work on is, okay, if I fail at this particular task, does it mean my entire competition's over, or does it just set me back a little bit? So obviously, in an ideal world, we'll all be having positive self-talk. And in some of the follow-up videos to this, we'll start to look at some strategies of developing that. But one of the key ways we can do it that I want you to think about first is, again, reframing how we've just termed that, positive and negative. Look at your self-talk that's taking place and decide, is it helpful or hurtful? Because negative self-talk, telling yourself there's a reason you can't do something, actually can spur you on to improve that training, to improve performance in some way. But again, it's down to how we frame it. So we need to think about, is what the things I'm telling myself right now about my performance, are they helpful to my performance and my future performance? Or are they hurtful to my future performance? And that's one strategy that allows us to start flicking that switch between negative and positive self-talk. As with a number of the mindset techniques that we use at WorldSkills UK, a lot of this has its background in sports science and competition. So if you want to see some really good examples of how self-talk can change someone's attitude towards a task, I suggest you go and have a look at tennis players such as Leighton Hewitt, fantastic at using self-talk to channel their emotions into making sure that their next shot is exactly how they want it to be. Same way, the NFL, fantastic example of when negative self-talk can have an impact on performance. Players constantly talking to themselves about why they're doing an action, what they want to do next, and inevitably actually leads to them not being able to perform that action that they should be able to do. So we use self-talk at WorldSkills UK because it's got a number of benefits at competition. And one of those is that it helps reduce stress in competitors. If we can utilize that self-talk to reduce the stress load that's on a competitor at that moment in time, research shows that it's actually linked to an increased ability to solve problems. And for a number of the skills that we have, problem solving is vital, especially if something hasn't gone quite right and you need to find a way out of it. And that's where having a positive self-talk allows us to build on that action that's just taken place to make sure the next outcome doesn't mean that that mistake is going to be as costly. If we have negative self-talk, it means we can really work ourselves into a situation where the next action we do is something we're not thinking clearly about, or we lose confidence and we can't actually perform that task to the same level that we know we can do. And it's all down to how we've done that talking process. Another fantastic benefit is the fact that positive self-talk has been shown to build resilience in young people. So if we can start to reframe that self-talk into something that's helpful and positive, it means we can build resilience, and therefore these young people can really deal with setbacks in a much more advanced way that limits the impact that setback has. What we've got next is a short clip from an ex-competitor, Mark Pate, competing in stonemasonry at international competitions. Mark's now actually a training manager and works with young people in order to get them ready for international competition. And here he's just talking a little bit about how he dealt with self-talk and his experiences of it during a competition.
Hey guys, the biggest challenge I've always had when I'm competing is the voice inside my head. The difficult thing of trying to compete with yourself when that voice is saying, this isn't right, this isn't going the way I want it to go, and responding to the stresses that are around you, the things that are happening in competition all the time. And my biggest challenge was learning to channel that voice, to make that voice into a positive thing so that it was a supporter and not taking away from what I was able to do. So I've always tried to keep that voice on track, because when that voice is negative, it's continually pushing you down. The posture changes and everything is harder. Whereas when that voice is that supporter in your head, saying, come on, you can do it, telling you what the realities are, helping you and assisting you, the stress just relieves. You feel open and you feel like you can produce excellent results. And it's having that cheerleader with you the whole time, instead of that little devil on your shoulder saying, you can't. It's that helpful person saying, you absolutely can.
So there we've had a brief introduction to one of the mindset techniques we use at WorldSkills UK in order to help get young people ready for competition. Moving them from competence to excellence in their training, developing their skill set to the highest level, and improving their confidence and aiming to reach their full potential. I'd like to thank you for joining the WorldSkills UK Masterclass on Mindset and Performance. And please check out the rest of the series on worldskillsuk.org.